Hello and welcome to the Lizard Gang cult. We all have exquisite fashion sense, we love a cheeky sit-up, and we love to sketch the daisies that grow in our farm. But you probably know us from the excessive amount of murders. In the last episode we recruited 3 new alcoholics, and today we'll be putting them through a series of tests to see if they're truly worthy of induction. They'll each have to successfully destroy a play cart, kill a freak of their choice, whilst also bringing back a sack of materials and a new weapon each. And as a group they'll also have to supply a fresh set of wheels for us. But what they don't realise is there's only room for 2. And first to step up to the plate is Hooch. He fancies himself a chemist, although he does have a low metabolism. But what I'm interested in is his ability as a moonshiner. Lucky for Hooch, he knew exactly where a car was nearby, and after he whips out his spanner and petrol, it's time to hit the road.
If I take out the nearest plague heart, this should clear up.
Good for you, Hooch. Good for you. As Hooch is first up to bat, he gets a choice of the entire map of play carts. Ah, well that's a handy one. Let's go with the usual strategy. But I didn't realise it wasn't an energy drink that I had equipped. Well, I just wasted my only flare. That could come back to bite me on the ass later. I run in and smack the thing with my heavy spiky stick before having to dodge back to safety when the hordes get too much. But even though Hooch has 20% less stamina than regular folk, he doesn't let that slow him down in the slightest. There's several hordes on our location, but it doesn't matter how many zombies are about, Hooch is getting that first phase out of the way. And you'll notice we haven't taken a smidge of plague damage. Could Hooch be the next Terry? He then drops a bloated cloud firebomb combination, but probably should mention that to the other cultists, as he did technically pinch him when no one was looking. Then at this point to pour petrol on the already lit flame, a Juggernaut decides he wants to join the party. But thankfully he's more interested on banging on walls than banging my brains out. Thankfully Hooch also pinched himself a long range rifle, which he's able to easily use to finish off the heart. But now he needs to collect its goodies as evidence, whilst also escaping in the car and avoiding that Juggernaut. Haha, a little bit of wall climbing hijinks, Hooch. You're a goddamn genius, my friend. And thankfully all the zombies have vacated the tartan mart. That means Hooch is able to collect a sack of materials and a new weapon. Now once he takes out a freak, he'll be able to safely go back with his head held high. But Hooch certainly isn't stupid enough to take on a grown Juggernaut. He's also smart enough to avoid a bloater. But if he had barreled through it at 65 miles an hour, we'd have accepted that on his application form. Instead he takes the easy way out by sniping a screamer from distance. I mean, it might have taken 3 shots, but accuracy isn't exactly that important for the cult. Holy shit! A 4-pack of ferals! This game's getting ridiculous. What am I gonna do with a 4-pack of ferals? Look, you can't catch me, you can't catch me, da 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 da. But not wanting to set up any potential foreshadowing, I decided it'd be best just to leg it. But the thing about me and Lethal Zone is disaster is never that far away.
Shit, we needed that.
Wait, what? No! Hooch! This could be the end for Hooch. Thankfully, Hooch manages to get the sack of meds out before the car explodes. But now he's carless and a long way from base. Oh yeah, and there's a siege site directly in his way. This journey home will take all of his skill, all of his cunning, all of his Adderall, as he's actually a really sleepy boy. Hooch decides it would be safer to take out the siege site, and death from above is usually the best strategy for this. And thankfully, the only freaks about are a screamer and a bloater. And with the screamer taken care of, that's the siege site dealt with. Now it's time to go, Hooch. Pop them stims, son, and get fucking running. There are several things I really don't want to run into on the way back to base, but at the top of that list is most likely a Juggernaut. Oh, that's bad. That is very bad. Let's try not to lead a Juggernaut straight back to base, is it? But even with his stamina 20% lower than regular people, Hooch is easily able to outrun the chunky bastard.
Ah, shit, a bloater.
Don't worry about a bloater. You can outrun a bloater, you tit. Fucking Juggernaut up your ass. That's what you want to be worried about. Thankfully, Hooch gets back safe and sound, without taking a single smidge of plague damage. This man might be a future leader. Now it's the turn of Jermaine, who's legally blind, but his addiction to getting lit on lean gives him 50+ infection resistance. With no car for this group of alcoholics, Jermaine is forced to take his quest on foot. But luckily that gives him plenty of chance to practice his golf swing. But he's also a very impatient man. He also found literally nothing of any use. So not only is he impatient, he may also have a terrible eye for loot. Holy shit, that is absolute bollocks, mate. I'm calling bullshit on that one, boys. It's like watching fucking Alison Becker in his prime, which is right now, funnily enough. Jermaine gets to the location of his play car. There are several hordes gathered in this location, but there's no easy cheeseball tactic for this heart. Sometimes you just gotta pop a zanny and beat your meat. Although technically this wouldn't be my meat, but it is 2023. You're perfectly allowed to beat someone else's meat, provided that they've given you written and verbal consent, which this play cart technically hasn't, so I look forward to seeing the hashtag JTalbotIsOver party trending on Twitter. Anyway, Anyway, the best life advice anyone can ever give you: when the crowds get too big, don't be afraid to whip out your explosives. Feel free to like the video and subscribe for more advice on dealing with anxiety. I tried to confuse the horde by going out of the side door and closing the door behind me. I then do a little bit of sneaky around the front. Okay, that did not work. That did not work in the slightest. But thankfully there's a shipping container with an accessible ladder nearby.
Can't get any sicker. I'll need a bullet to the face.
This guy's gonna fit in well. I like him. Now here's the problem that we're facing. We only have one stamina pill remaining. But remember, we've also got no transport home. And the hordes can only get bigger. Maybe I need to save it for my route home. But you're not gonna have an application accepted into the lizard gang with that kind of attitude. While high as a kite, Jermaine runs in and smacks it as hard as he can. He then drops back and cleanses the thing with fire, successfully killing the heart. But he still needs to collect a gun and a sack of materials as evidence. And when he gets a safe distance from the warehouse, he pops a couple of unsuppressed gunshots. That is hopefully so all the hordes will be drawn outside. But Jermaine is not that lucky. A bloodfowler has heard the shots and decides that Jermaine needs to be put on the menu. This isn't necessarily the worst thing, as Jermaine does need to kill a freak as part of his initiation. But it does mean he's not going to be able to take the easy route out by killing a screamer like Hooch did. By the way, let me know who your favourite new recruit is in the comment section. Well, at least the feral's dead. And all of that commotion does mean that the warehouse is pretty much empty, and Jermaine is able to collect himself a new weapon and a sack of ammo supplies. Now all he's got to do is get back to base without being turned into a member of the undead. He does of course take an opportunity to boot a screamer, because why wouldn't you? They are incredibly annoying. Okay, this was a mistake. Okay, he's got plague cure. No, not plague cure. Well, he does have plague cure. In fact, how does he have 5 of them? Jesus Christ, what a greedy bastard. Maybe Jermaine was trying to sell them to a rival cult. That might be a good reason to stick his head on the chopping block. On the way back, Jermaine manages to avoid quite a nasty wandering horde that was built up of bloaters, screamers, a feral and a juggernaut. Unfortunately though, he has led a small gathering of regular zombies back towards base, so he's gonna have to sort that shit out before his application can be considered. Unfortunately, Jermaine runs out of stamina and decides to bitch it. Hello fellow cultists, do you mind coming and giving a hand? Look, I'm very successful on my quest. But Jermaine is very much on his own. He pops down from the safety of that abandoned car and starts smacking zombies like his life depends on it, which I suppose technically it kinda does. But as Jermaine clears out the final zombie, he starts to get a little cocky. You see, there's a triple pack of ferals just outside our safety zone, but after a couple of shots they don't seem to show much interest. That is until Jermaine moves on to kill a regular zombie, but unfortunately he's not quick enough to get the kill and gets tackled. Oh, he's been more than tackled, he's been thrown by his throat. The two other knobheads then decide to join the party and things aren't looking good for Jermaine, but he is able to retreat back to the safety of an abandoned car. Hi fellow cultists, it's me again, Jermaine. No, nobody wants to help out against a triple pack of ferals. Not a single person. And to be honest, who can blame him? But thankfully, after killing 2 from the safety of that car, Jermaine has regained his stamina and has plenty of ammo left. So that final feral isn't much trouble. And after significantly more trouble than Hooch, Jermaine makes it back to safety. And last up to face the trial of fire is Shelley. Shelley thinks the earth is flat and the royal family are secretly lizard people. But most importantly, she's a mother who lost her son during the outbreak. And that kind of compassion is not something that just goes away. So she accepts a distress call from a stranger miles away. But she gets chased by a feral and has to do a cheeky retreat. She does manage to defeat the beast, but in doing so has taken on a fair bit of damage. So she rushes back to the infirmary to remove any trace of infection. But by doing that, she led a horde directly to the front gates. And she's not even offering to help clear them out. Disgusting behaviour, that is, love. You'll also notice she's high on experimental medicine. Well, at least she's got one trait that'll make her a decent cultist. She runs past the juggernaut we seen earlier. In fact, she runs past 2 of the bastards. Alright, yeah, that wandering horde also happens to have everyone's least favourite crackhead. Just don't look, don't look, don't look, don't look, don't look. It can't hurt you if it can't see you. Thankfully, she's able to kill the beast before she becomes part of the menu, but her problems aren't over just yet. The gunfire, even though it's suppressed, has attracted hordes, but the cult has an outpost with landmines set nearby, so as long as she can make it there, she'll have a refuge point to base from, which she does, so yay for Shelley. And thankfully, the person who made that distress call is just outside the safety zone. I try sneaking around the back to aid in her assistance, but she starts popping shots and that attracts all manner of shit. And as it's the middle of the night, I can see precisely fuck all. So I decide to help us both out by illuminating the area a smidge. At least now we can see the things that are trying to kill us, even if they are on fire and technically able to do more damage. But unfortunately, singed eyebrows are just a risk you're gonna have to take if you want to be a member of the lizard gang. But no matter what I do, the crowds just keep growing. So after getting their attention, I run back to the safety of my field of landmines. It's a bloody good thing I've got a light foot, otherwise I'd be joining all of these knobheads in the afterlife. After a couple of rounds of this, I'm able to clear out the horde, but as you can see, I've taken serious damage damage in the process. Hung has asked for my assistance in getting back home, and I agree as long as she helps me get a working car. So I head back to my outpost to heal and collect a toolkit. And thankfully there's an abandoned car just the other side of that petrol station. But here's the issue. I have an abundance of toolkits, but I kinda turned all of my fuel resources into Molotovs. Perhaps a tactical boo-boo on my part, but you simply can't put a price on fire safety. Unfortunately, the petrol station had already been looted, but there's a garage in town that should have a spare can of fuel. Hung clears the area outside while I search for the fuel, which I actually find on the first container I search in. But my stupid little ADHD brain doesn't let me leave until I've searched every single container. That extra 15 seconds meant a feral has decided to join the party, which is actually okay news for Shelly, as she has Hung as a distraction. I try leading the feral to the field of landmines, but it seems this feral is smarter than the average. He backs out just before setting them off and goes straight for Hung. Hung then makes it to my landmine field, but unfortunately gets singed in the process. Come on, just make it to here! Just make it here! Come on, you can do it! But every time she gets up, a new landmine goes off and she gets singed once again. I believe in you! Hung! You got this! Please, Hung! Just make it to me! But Hung isn't looking for anything logical like safety. She doesn't care about a comfy bed or a warm meal. Hung just wants to watch the undead burn. Can I get an RIP Hung in the comment section? If you don't think that's the saddest thing to happen in game in this year, then you are quite simply dead inside. But at least now with no one slowing her down, Shelly's able to get to the car and refuel it. So at least as a group, there's finally a car between them. But Shelly just can't shake her compassion to help out strangers. And Sam is defending his back door like a conservative in a gay club. There actually seems to be more zombies than I first anticipated. Well, it's a bloody good thing I put all of my fuel into mollies then, innit? And you thought that was a tactical misplay, didn't you? Never question my tactical intelligence, especially when it comes to flammables. Anyway, with all the zombies cleared, Sam wants help to find his friend, which I obviously agree to because Shelly is a lovely lady. Although if we're being honest, a questionable driver. We get to the hillside house and it's time to get to work. Sam's friend is surrounded by the undead, but it's alright because I'm an absolute beast with a rifle. Look at that, that's gotta be about at least 75% accuracy, which statistically makes me better than the average moron. Anyway, that's the house cleared of zombies, and the strangers give me a sack of civilian ammo as payment. And Shelly's happy with that day's work, so decides to call it a night and head back to base. She's proven a compassion for others is another way of getting what you need. There's no need for violence, there's no need for murder, there's no need for extortion. But how will the other cultists react to this news? She failed her task of taking out the plague cart, and how are we supposed to make this town safe if she can't even follow simple orders? But the cult is crafty. They tell Shelly that all of her crimes shall be forgiven if she can harvest a bloater gland. But as she gets close, they take a pop with a sniper rifle, and that unfortunately means that she contracts blood plague. But they had taken all of the cure off her before she had left, so she crawls back to base desperate for a saviour. But the only saviour she finds is Gaz with a loaded pistol.